So hello, let's say this is the second part. I don't know, maybe the second because today's topic is how do people react to something? On what basis do they react? So let's say something occurs, some persons conveys you some information, or some kind of situation occurs in which you have to respond to the situation. How a person responds to it, how a person responds to it, how do they do that? It comes naturally, you can't just formulate it or plan it before it becomes manipulating, not or acting, not responding naturally. So you can't just say they act like this or that, but we can say, but we can have some factors of it which determine how they react. So I have some factors right now. People's responses are can be like people responses have many factors which change their response, but I think there are mainly three factors that play a most important role. One is the empathy, two is the sympathetic expectations, three is their set on ideas or values or any kind of influence they have. Let's check all these three together. So first one is empathy, and in empathy we have two kinds. One is their base level empathetic values. Second, their particular empathetic bond or the additional empathy level with the person or the thing that the thing is particularly happening. Let us say you got results. A person can be too much attached to the results, or person can be free from the results. So a person who doesn't care about it, their academic results, even if he gets a good grade or a bad grade, his reaction won't differ much. But a person who's attached to the results, their response changes drastically from a good score to a bad score. So a person's response can be dependent on their empathetic base level empathy and their empathetic connection with it, the person or the thing that they're particularly responding to. So the base level empathy can be defined as how sensitive the person. So let us say a person is less sensitive, so he doesn't react much to it. But if he's more sensitive, he reacts to it. But let us say a less sensitive person who's attached more to his academic grades, even if he is less empathetic or less responsive, he responds to the grades because he's more attached to the grades. So the levels differ. So in the empathetic classification of the factors, we have two: base class and the connective empathy. Second one is sympathetic expectations. Let us say you're already sad enough in that particular instant, and something happy happy information like good grades or some of your good friends is coming to visit you. That positive information also doesn't affect you, it doesn't make you enough happy. Let us say you are normal neutral right now, and a happy information, a positive response comes, a positive input comes to you, you respond positively. But you are negative right now, you can't respond to that positive input that positively because you are already negative. You have some expectations through sympathy. Let us say you're sad, you expect the situations around you to respond to that, the situation around you to console you. That's your expectation, that's your sympathetic expectations. And if it doesn't match, you will be more sad, more negative. So it all depends on it. Let us say you're sad enough and the given information is also negative, it affects you more than when you're neutral. So the response changes, the response negativeness, the more negative you are already, more consoling expectations you have, the more negative the effect will be, you can say that. The third factor is your value system or anything that you have pre-assumed, like prefixed. Let us say anything that you have prejudice, like some about some things like caste system, intercaste marriages or stuff like that. Let us say, or yeah, religion and stuff. Anything related to that space, you already have some prefixed inputs. So even if it's a positive thing, due to that prefixed inputs, you respond according to it. Let us say a Muslim guy performs well, does good food, cooks good food, or does make dolls very good, and he's famous throughout the street or in the area. But you, as a pure Hindu, doesn't support him or doesn't buy that, even if you like it, because you have the prejudice and you have prefixed response to it to avoid it because it is not fixed into you. And you can also get this prejudice from like social, like social inputs, like you are being raised in a society which gives you these inputs, which gives you the prejudice, or you wantedly want to manipulate the situation there, like you can give this. So like the third factor is your own changes that you want to do to the situation. Anything you have prejudice in you, or you want to change, you want your response to be in a particular way, so you want to manipulate the response that you give to the particular input. So that's also in you, and you have a new value system. When you like, let us say your value system wants you to remain cool, wants you to be indifferent to positive or negative situations. Even if the situation is too negative, doesn't respond to it that negative way. You try to make it neutral, which means you're manipulating your response according to your value system. You see that? Otherwise, you want to manipulate the situation. You want to make yourself look more happy in the situation, either you're sad, so you make your response look happier than actually you are. So you're manipulating it. So the third factor is self kept inputs, self given inputs rather than natural occurring inputs. So these three are main factors: the empathy, sympathetic expectations, and the third, the self implied factors like value systems, manipulative thoughts, or any prejudice you have set on. So before you analyze anyone's response, keep these factors in mind and analyze it through. You will get how the like is a response natural or not. If the response tends to, like the response tends towards the third factor, you can say that they're manipulative or it's their wantonness. But if it's natural due to empathy or sympathetic expectations, you can't really just blame them, or due to any prejudice set by the by the social upbringing, you can't really blame them, right? So in this way, you can not only analyze and predict others' responses, but understand how you yourself respond to situations, and how can you control your situations, how can you control empathy, sympathy, expectations, how can you change your prejudice according to, towards anything, or how can you change your value systems, how can you change the degree of effect of these factors on their responses. Do you want to give natural responses, or you want to give anything personalized responses to situations? How can you personalize them? How can you change your responses? How can you show yourself to the world? That can be not completely in kept control, but to a certain degree you can understand and analyze it. So this factors helps. So before thinking of how did you respond, or how any person responded to you, just keep these factors in mind. You will get a rough idea of what's going there. Thank you. I think this will help you, not help you, but help me sitting here every thought I have. So thank you for listening.